I was having a conversation with a Christian in the comments section of a video a couple of days ago, David McMurdo, who's a really nice guy, and it was about homosexuality, and I was trying to, understand how some Christians are quite discriminatory against homosexuals, and where that comes from, and yeah, just trying to get underneath the bonnet of that thought, really, because I find it quite difficult to understand. But one of the things that came out in that was, very interesting, for me at least, was to do with personal taste. Because he was basically saying that he has absolutely nothing against homosexuals himself at all, none, zero. And from us, kind of reading between the lines, I got a sense that he meant that, and he doesn't find the activities that homosexuals engage in particularly disturbing or disgusting or anything like that on a human level. In fact, the only reason, as I could tell from what he was saying, the only reason he has a problem with homosexual behaviour, and I stress homosexual behaviour rather than homosexuals because that's a distinction he made, is because it's prohibited in his versions or his readings of the Bible. Therefore, it's a sin, one of many sins, of course, and presumably no worse than the sins that we all engage in, including himself. But it's a sin. So the only thing that is allowing David McMurdo and many others, I suspect, to condemn the activities of homosexuals is because it says so in the Bible. Nothing else. No personal taste. Nothing to do with, as I've heard argued elsewhere, no sense that it might be disruptive of family life and then therefore cause kind of social lack of cohesion. No sense that it's associated with paedophilia, which I've heard elsewhere. So, of course, that's just nonsense. But no, there was no sense of that in what David McMurdo was saying. There are no justifiable reasons to condemn it in individual terms, in human terms, in social terms, in aesthetic terms, apart from the fact that it features as one of the prohibitions in the Bible, Old and New Testament. See, this is where I don't understand this stuff. This is where I just don't understand it. Why would anybody, why would an intelligent human being look around and see the world the way it is and think, oh yeah, it's probably more harmful to condemn homosexuals. It's certainly more harmful. Homophobia does far more harm in the world, I think we'll admit, than homosexuality, which clearly does no harm at all. So why would anybody support homophobia, even if they don't call it that? Why would anybody support the discrimination of a whole group of people who by their own admission are doing no actual harm, just because it says so in a holy book? And doesn't even say it in a holy book in many versions, just in the interpretation that they choose to, and it is choice, just in the interpretation that they choose to take about that holy book. I don't understand that.